live streaming this and recording it. So let's make sure that my live stream comes on, because I want this to be an organic thing where we come together in community and we come up with the mission statement for the Aquarian. Why the name? What is it? Why is it? How is it? Who is it? And my hope is that some people might even chime in the comment section. My hope is that we clarify what the Aquarian is, so that it's not just a dream, but that it's something substantial, physical, tangible. I've hosted 2 Aquarian meetings before. We'll talk about how those came about. Jennifer Dorsey, thank you for chiming in. We're coming up with a mission statement for the Aquarian. Right now, I'm looking to get on college campuses and get into buildings. Being on the internet is fun and all, but this needs to be more concrete. And we get the challenge of organizing something new. So that's why it's hard to come up with words for something new, because a word, the title, is given to something that's already around. But there are some words that I use, and what I'm trying to do is get this out so that you see what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make this a we thing, not a me thing. And this is my attempt. I don't like to use the word attempt. I want to be more assertive. This is me doing it. Gosh darn it. So here we are. Somebody asked me to put together a mission statement because they're trying to help me get into a building. Now I'm also working on getting onto college campuses, markets like farmer markets, in the public square. I think college campuses will be a good place. And it does have kind of a youthful vibe to it. The Aquarian, it's a little bit hippie-ish of a vibe, but it doesn't have to be. But that name, because of a song allocated to it. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And then it has a new age vibe to it. Even though the term new age, I don't wholeheartedly adopt, but we'll go through that more. Okay. I have 2 documents. So I was going through this website to help me to put together and then is it a non-for-profit or is it a profit? And then that gets tied up with the government. And if you claim to be a non-for-profit as a religious entity and you don't pay taxes, like your property taxes or something, then you have to forfeit your ability to engage in the political sphere. And then they ask for all your members' information, and I don't think we want to be that cozy with the government. Sorry. No, I don't want to. I want to be careful because I also don't want this to be too political. We're transcending out of the left and the right wing. And we're just ascending out of this denomination, that faith. And we're doing that in religion by sharing the spiritual, allegorical, metaphorical meanings of these things. And then perhaps that'll seep out into the political world, and we'll see how religion isn't so separate from state like they would have us believe, but that lots of our theologies are a real factor into why we support who we do, what wars we go off to fight. Okay. I know it seems like if you've listened to my videos, I go over and over and over this, and it's almost repetitive, but that's okay. Okay, so I was going, thanks to nonprofithub.org for helping me to get through this a little bit. The mission statement, a worksheet, the Aquarian. We'll get into why the name of Aquarian, because we're perhaps moving into the age of Aquarius, which is denoting this constellation named by the Greeks, received from the Babylonian, Chaldeans, Assyrians, Sumerians. I believe it's also in Egypt. As a method of keeping time, this would be the great year as opposed to just a solar year. More of a cosmic year. Now, you don't even have to believe in any of that. It's just a name, a label to help identify us. We want to be careful not to be exclusive. We want to be all inclusive. Now, so you don't have to believe in God. I mean, the God of the Bible. Lots of people are not satisfied with that version of God. But we look for, we could pull out meaning and beautiful teachings out of lots of these scriptures. But we're just careful not to take them literally so that we don't have a theology, an eschatology, an end-time prophecy that entails a great portion of the population being offed. Or try to convert everybody to my religion. If you're not in the religion that I was born and raised in, probably, then you're not one of us. You're trying to get through that. Then even worse, you're not even on our level. You're below us. Your soul isn't there, maybe even less human. So we're attacking. We're going against that. We're a social movement. I chose that word consciously because it might have the look of spirituality, because we don't ignore that. We bring it on. We acknowledge that humans might have a propensity towards ceremony, a remembering of a past one, a celebration of a union of two, a celebration of a life into the world, celebration of youth into adulthood. When somebody gets their first chin hair, then we bring the boy into manhood. They're tearing apart a dove, a pigeon, and walking through it to make a covenant. See, this is a religious revolution, reformation, a spiritual evolution. My hope is that we don't have to do these Iron Age things anymore, because as we've evolved, hopefully our idea of God has evolved. We're a social movement. We're all about creating community and recognizing that man is a social being. We are reaching out to address the pandemic of isolation, of loneliness, and we teach people with one of the many teachings that we propound on how to be all right with being with yourself. The healing starts within. Let it be done unto me. And then, as without, so within. Well, okay, we're a social. We're all about creating community. We're reaching out to the outcasts who perhaps might be spiritual but not religious and don't have a community. Those who don't believe in God, say, as these Western religions would have us believe. Those who are agnostic. Those who are Gnostics. Those who are into the deeper meanings. Those who aren't racial or religious supremic. And who say, hey, Susie over there isn't so different than me. Perhaps we could learn from each other's cultures. Religion and culture is so tied up. So religious literacy, when that's gained, my hope is that culturally we could come together in a more peaceful manner. And those issues, we don't mull over the differences. We look for the similarities. We celebrate those. We build on those. We meet there. But we don't ignore the parts of our own theology, others, that calls for and promotes religious supremacy and even violence and hate stemming out of that. So we are a social movement. I don't think I have to. Is it a political movement? Is the political sphere is part of the social sphere? A spiritual movement? Yeah, but I use social instead because some people aren't spiritual, but they're human. I could say a humanitarian movement, but we do have elements of spirituality. And we'll see even in secularism, there's elements of spirituality, yea, religiosity. In our ceremonies for everything. Our judges wearing black gowns, in our salutes, in our pledges, in our documents, our sacred texts, Constitution, what sports, heroism, Harry Potterism, my favorite ism. Aquarianism, isms usually has aligned with it a movement. And what kind of movement are we? We're a social movement, but also an individual movement. Anyways, okay, in public squares, on campus, in media, online, everywhere out. We have a big umbrella. We have big arms to come and hug all these peoples. Healing. That is pretty much our number one thing that we're doing here is healing from lies ultimately. And from us being treated less than human. We're really trying to become human, to rise up out of our animal tribal nature. Now that through the technological revolution of communications and information sharing, it's not feasible to be tribalistic. It's not really accepted. That doesn't mean abandoning your people. Having pride for your own culture, beautiful, in your own country. But when you think your own people are superior and should wipe out the other because your text calls for it, or your orders from your higher ups, then let's reevaluate that. I think we could do better. So we're healing. We've all been traumatized by this experience we call life that is filled with suffering and death and sickness. That's kind of morbid. There's lots of beautiful things, but we've suffered lots of division culturally, and through religion, we're going to try to heal this cultural division by looking, finding, discovering, again, thanks to the technological revolution of information gathering and sharing, very Aquarian. One just has to look up the astrological sign Aquarian, what attributes, characteristics are associated with that time of season and those born out of that time. Forward thinking, communicative, and there's lots of literature built on that. Caveat, side note, there is such thing as the Aquarian gospel of something. We have nothing to do with that. I think there was in Wikipedia, it says there was a early Christian sect that called themselves Aquarians, and they drank water instead of the blood, which gives us some like historical kind of roots, which is kind of cool. Maybe they're helping us out in the ethereal realm. But the Aquarian gospel of so-and-so is a fictional work inspired by the Holy Spirit. It's very much like the Gospels, works of fiction, but within them, they express sometimes some beautiful truths. We look to pull those pearls out. But the parts that say, go into town and bash the babies' heads against rocks and take the virgins for yourselves, that's Iron Age. That's not even Piscean Age stuff. That's Iron Age stuff. Piscean Age, the age before Aquarius, each age lasting estimated 2,000 years. Many say that we're on the cusp. We're moving out of Pisces into Aquarius, out of the fishes into the water bearer. Where do we prepare the Passover? The great Passover, from Pisces into Aquarius. Go into town, look for the man bearing the pitcher of water. An homage to the constellation of the water bearer. We will find lots of astral mythology in these religious texts, which is an opportunity to show the symbolism of it rather than the literalism of it, and then we can meet on that level. So we're healing cultural division and individual separateness. We're separated from ourselves. That's what trauma does. And trauma is inflicted to us continuously through movies, TV shows. I love anime lately because I love art and storylines. Even if it was just cartoons, it's people cutting each other up, lots of blood. Or just everything is just so sarcastic. I mean, I'm not trying to be some softy and be like, oh, I'm so traumatized by everything. But if you were alive for 9/11, that was COVID was traumatic on a global level. Have you experienced the death of a loved one? Have you been born into this world? That's a traumatic experience. When it does, it fractures, it shatters our sense, our idea of ourselves, our sense of ourselves, and we create. But ultimately, sometimes that can be really reformative. Sometimes that can be productive in our psychological individuation process. It is a shattering of, but usually that happens later in life when you have your sense of yourself. Oh, I'm a lawyer. That's my identity. I eat, drink, sleep, lawyer. And then I get banned from the bar for some reason. And it shatters your whole, you built so much up on that. So what we are in Aquarianism, it is non-identitarianism. I haven't written that in here. Let me note that somewhere, because that is great. And that the opposite, identitarianism, has been the cause of a lot of suffering and division. And identitarianism. I'm this party. Not even knowing that none of those parties care about you. They're both two wings on the same bird with its pinned down while the ship's going in the same direction. And we're just an oar on each side of it. Okay. We call for... Okay, we haven't got past the first line. Is anybody in the chat, yo? Oh, we got people in the chat. What about private membership? No, because this is what we're doing is very public and not private. Like the Masons and other secret society type esoteric schools, they've carried on lots of this hermetic, these teachings that I believe can be used as a bridge to meet on with other religions, which is why in the Masonic lodges, they let you come in and they have like a Bible, a Quran, and a Torah on the table because they know the deeper stuff. But I'm not sure if they're teaching everybody. But anyways, secret blood oaths and pacts and stuff, not healthy for anything. Now, in your own private spiritual life, maybe you want to set up a private type of ritual and ceremony evoking your ancestrals or some other way of expressing religiosity as an alternative to the ones of the book. A big part of what the Aquarian is I hate to say alternative form of faith. I don't like the word faith, of religion, and I don't like the word religion. But you see how we're trying to work. I'm trying to explain this. I hope people get it. So we're about transparency. Aquarianism is about it's revelation. It's the apocalypse, that opening of the eyes to the true meanings of these stories, which is metaphysical often. It's about us and the body that we find ourselves in the cosmos. Private ceremonies held, like I just encourage everybody to come up with creative new ways of a funeral I went to my little sister's college graduation, and it was a multicultural experience with different religious leaders saying something. Now, for some of them, the words were awkward. When you read from your holy text, when it says, "Congratulations to the graduating class," I like to read a text from Deuteronomy 15:20. "And the Lord saith, Thou shalt take your wife into the square and renounce her twice aloud, and then she's no longer your property." And she's I got a little bit off topic. It's like water crash transcendence here. Yes, an idea we do kind of, when we come together as a body and community, that creates a body. Like they liken the church unto a body, and I do kind of like referring to the Aquarian as a body in the feminine, like a ship on a rocky ocean. I will, and in the feminine, yeah. They always name ships like the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Marina. And so we join in that body, in the ethereal, transcendental, mental, maybe even emotional realm, And then we're trying to bring it into earth. It can't just be a thought, which is why we're doing this practice right now. Did I say that there's going to be kind of I want a hippie vibe to it? We're creating an all-inclusive, non-religion religion. We could just not use the word religion at all. It can be many things to different people. You have to, what I do is I look at who am I talking to, and then I'm going to gear my vocab, my words, probably even my personality into presenting this as something beneficial. Why is it beneficial to the average person? Well, just education. A big part of this is religious literacy. And in that, discovering the spiritual, mystical, allegorical, symbolical meanings. And then meeting on that level. Okay. We're healing individual separateness. Yeah, one-on-one counseling. My idea is on campus, we have a table set up. This is how I will express Aquarianism. Come up with my own name for it. So I call mine All Souls, Temple or Church or whatever. Aquarian. I'm taking Aquarianism, which is embracing the good parts of the archetype of Aquarian, which is equality, community, forward progression, evolution, spiritual conscious expansion, peace, harmony, a golden age. We're trying to bring fun. A concert is like Aquarian, but we're bringing health and wellness into it. Because we get together and go to a football game and get drunk and fight the opposing team in the stands. Yeah, that's community. So technically that is Aquarian. But that's pretty freaking iron age to me. So coming together in ways that are healthy, wholesome, incorporating spiritual, mystical practices from religions outside the one that we grew up in, or even the ones that we did grow up in, bringing them out and showcasing them and sharing them. And then we come together in such exercises that it makes it more powerful. Even ritual, ceremony, these things enhance the experience so that that experience might be made more powerful in one's life and more of an effect. And then they can, in return, affect the world in that positive, all-inclusive, humanitarian, communal way through education and the arts. Whatever gifts, talents you have that you could put towards the cause. What's the cause? Sharing this hidden secret information, just being kind and caring, not looking down on another as not chosen or not saved, and not letting others look down on you as because you're not as wealthy. Classism is a horrible ism along with racism. Lots of religion pushes racism. We at the Aquarian are not afraid to call that out. Rebellious energy is the Aquarian. We call, for secular and religious institutions, their leaders and members to adopt a worldview, a theology or philosophy that upholds the dignity of all humans equally. Calling out priests, popes, rabbis, imams to make a pledge to not teach your parishioners that other people are less than, and even worse, need to be wiped out. Anybody in the chat, chime in. Anything you want to see? Thank you for participating. 4 viewers, that's more than I always have. Okay. The Aquarian is community for the spiritual but not religious, which is a big portion of the population. Because the religions around aren't attractive. But what are they missing out on? Community, a sense of belonging, a shared mission is powerful. The Aquarian is community for the spiritual but not religious, for the non-believer, for the atheist. I mean, you read the Bible and you come away an atheist. Just because you don't believe in the God of the Bible doesn't make one an atheist. Defending the pagan, the heathen. Just because somebody didn't buy into this story of these people from Israel, Mesopotamia, the Middle East, and adopt that as theirs, doesn't mean they're less than. See lots of pagan elements, not just in Christianity, Judaism. The very days of the months are named after Babylonian gods. The Aquarian is community for the spiritual but not religious, for the non-believer, for those who do not feel called to participate in any of the other faith communities available. That's pretty much my experience. For the person who seeks to understand the meaning underneath the surface of religious teachings, the esoteric rather than the exoteric. For the person who wishes to learn more about other cultures and themselves. Know thyself. And then the more we get to know ourselves, I think usually that brings one to more of a sense of compassion for the other. If you really honestly look at yourself. The Aquarian gathers people together to commune and to learn on the level of their shared humanity. That's it. But so does lots of other things. But we bring a conscious vibe to it. Conscious community. It was not just a rock concert with Billy Bob fighting Susie Q in the parking lot. The domestic violence charge with the 3 bottles of vodka on the floor of the Dodge Ram. I just went. I don't know why I just went there. Yeah, alcohol, drug, oxys. What are they called? The Roxys, Oxycontins, amphetamines. We need a healing from that culture. Our sexual desire been totally twisted and turned and used against us, and our misuse of it gets us in trouble. Well, the Aquarian, through its sharing of these esoteric teachings, teaches us how to have sex. And if you're not engaged in sex, how to live a life of health and wellness. It gets a little frisky. We are not a cult. We are anti-guruism. We're also anti-love and lightism. In the New Age movement, there's some of that, a lot of that, where we don't have time for that. This is all positive vibes only. I mean, I appreciate that. I could go down to the dark. But yeah, we believe it is good to go down to the dark and to dig up. The psychoanalytical process is a part of the individuation of the human. This is Carl Jungian type talk, which I believe we can incorporate. And he didn't discover it. It's been around forever. Just like we're not discovering, well, together we are, but I'm not coming up with Aquarian. I am not a founder of the Aquarian. I don't want my name attached to it, not because I don't love it and believe in it, but because I don't want it to be a me. I want it to be a we thing. The Aquarian gathers people together to commune and to learn on the level of their shared humanity. Humanitarianism, ultimately, at its base, is what it is. This ascends race and religion. So it's all about humans. Which just brings me about animals into my head. We usually think about like being humanitarian means charity. Yeah. Okay. The Aquarian addresses the differences present in religions and does not gloss them over. That's kind of me pointing to how, okay, once a year we do a Habitat for Humanity thing where we have one Muslim girl, one Jewish dude, a couple Christians, and maybe if we're feeling exotic, we got some guy who's a Buddhist. Well, what about the non-religious? We'll find out that that's actually, we tend to make religions out of, some would say man is homo religioso, Latin for denoting that innately, as part of our human condition, we have a hunger for religiosity. What do I mean by religiosity? I mean to express oneself individually and in community, connecting with nature and her laws, which are invisible. God, the invisible God. The great animus mundi, the soul of the world, that which animates everything. Okay, I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent. The Aquarian addresses the differences present in religions and does not gloss them over. Yes. Hey, here's my religion believes that my people are going to heaven. Yours believes that yours go to heaven. Let's debate that. Not just gloss it over. They go to work together on that. They get together and work on the home for some in need family, and then go home and sharpen their knife to come back and stab the person in the back the next day because of their religious ideology, which is so tied up into cultural, racial stuff that it's a little bit tough to extract. So really what we do, I want people to be out in the square. I don't know if you feel called to by the Spirit and yelling out like, Jesus is a metaphorical story, not a historical one. Because I think you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, sister, brother. Come on. Music is a big thing of Aquarianism. And Aquarianism is also like technological, like advanced futuristic stuff. So cyberpunk is kind of like a hippie cyberpunk is my kind of vision of an Aquarian. Kind of in the middle of this square on campus, like just being authenticity. Authenticity is a big Aquarian theme. All the fixed signs. It's opposite Leo, the other fixed Scorpio and Taurus. Okay, the Aquarian addresses the differences present in religions. It does not gloss them over, but through education and mutual respect of each other's humanness, we dialogue constructively and lovingly. My hope is that. The Aquarian advances religious literacy for the sake of reconciliation between cultures. Yep, and here's this. Religion has served as a source of division and harm and harms us peacefully integrating as we move further into a multicultural world. Yeah, it's back in the day when you just were born in your town in Baghdad, never left. It'd be easy to, I don't know, we saw like Sunni Shiite stuff. So there's always this conflict and stuff, but you wouldn't meet a Shinto, a Baha'ist, a futurist. We're also careful not to turn into robots and lose our hearts and souls and our emotional bodies here in Aquarius. That's how it's critical. See, we can be critical of other whatevers against the line of humanitarianism. Is it respecting each person's dignity equally, upholding it? Scientism, futurism, materialism could just look at human life as like a fungus, a mold that's breathing up all their air. This whole overpopulation thing, we stand up against that. When we come together in community, in some organization, otherwise we're weak. So we have a bunch of spiritual but not religious people out there. But when people are together in a church and they do a march and they got TV channels, I want Bentleys and Rolls Royces and private jets. I should go preach at the church without walls or something. Okay. This is going to pretty much be the rest of it. You're doing great. Thank you, Aquarius Helix. We're out here trying, you know. No, we're not trying. We're doing it. I'm doing it. I love you all so much. How I express Aquarianism is through All Souls Temple Church, and I will put up sample model services on how we could do such things as a ceremony for a loved one who's passed without alternative form to the Abrahamic way of doing things. I incorporate astrology, the planets, into the way that I express the Aquarian. You don't have to. People, you could be a tarot card reader. You just be somebody who sits down and listens to somebody, to be a minister in the outreach program at the Aquarian at college campuses. Get a table, sit down, put up a sign that says, I'm here to listen, to hold space. That's such a hippie, a new age thing to say. I'm holding space for you right now. It's kind of this hippie vibe that we got with the Aquarian, which I like. The kids are wearing tie-dyed shirts, listening to the Beatles. So, but we can also be like techno at the same time. Like everything falls into the Aquarian. Oh, they're like art and stuff from the heart. Aquarians could be a little bit cold, but that's why we go to the opposite sign, which is the axis that we're also tilting into, which is Leo, the heart. It's not the Lion of Judah. It's the Lion of Leo of all of us in the heavens underneath that sky. So one thing that astrology does, and that's cosmology presented within it, is it takes into account that we're all underneath the same influences of nature, namely because we are nature. But we're trying to be, we're bringing in the supernatural, which is what us being called to a life of ultimately, I think, virtue to transform our vices. And my mom brought me to church because she didn't think I'd be able to get ethics or morals other places. Well, here's a place where we could teach ethics and morals. In a way that's inclusive and loving. and searching. We're not dogmatic. We don't lay down rules and laws. The only one is to not harm someone. You have the right to harm yourself, really, but I'd recommend not. But no one has the right to harm another. No one even has the right to rule over another. That is harm. Thanks for the 100s. I need that. I needed this support. I'm glad Aquarius Helix, Exo Gilco. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Jennifer Dorsey really gave me a lot of encouragement today. I really appreciate it, guys. All right, we'll come back. I'm going to keep on pounding it and pounding it. Reach out to me at liam@theaquarian.tv to email me. My idea is to get on, well, what I'm going to do is get on a college campus. I'll set up my table with some literature, put up some paintings in the background of like the goddesses, astrological stuff. Set out a table where I could do readings for the kids. Direct them to my website. Have set up an in-person meeting where we'll do a full moon ceremony. It'll be a teaching opportunity, a way to come together in community that's not getting blacked out drunk, not making ourselves unconscious, but we're trying to bring ourselves to more consciousness, connection with ourselves, others, nature, even the heavens. I'm excited to be here to do this. It's been a long journey. Do you believe? I have had a crazy freaking life. And I've gone through battling lots of demons, and I still do. But let's do it together. If they're legion, then we gotta be super legion. I love you all so much. Leo. Leos are great.